Oh, man. It's the Mosley Show. It's a very exciting day. And you would usually think, well, Mosley and Scotty might be just kind of easing into the weekend. But no, we've got major things planned for you. I put it out there teasing it. It looks like people are already getting excited. Scotty, you've got our premium Twitter, whatever that is, that we put out, and we get a lot of Twitter people, Twitter followers and that kind of thing, which is great. And we want to encourage all of them to go over and sign up for the YouTube channel, the Matt Mosley Show. Look that up. Today at 2, we thought 2 was a nice round number. We would just, we'll have, this is really the first interview Art Briles has done in a long time. He might have talked to some of his he's got the new gig. He's the Eastern New Mexico head coach. And he came back to Waco to speak at this huge event. 700 or 800 people came, and they raised a ton of money for the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. And he and Bryce Petty were there and got a huge standing ovation. And so I was going to have him on when all that happened. And I kind of think Art was kind of like, well, I said all I wanted to say. And I think Art probably correctly deduced that I would have asked him some questions maybe that he didn't want to revisit and get back into. But we had this breaking news happen that he got a head coaching job. And I just felt like, hey, that's news. It's big. It's not a time to dredge up and like revisit everything that happened nearly a decade ago now, nearly 10 years ago. Now, you'll hear me when we do this interview. And as you can see, Art and I enjoyed a great the relationship I had with Art and Matt Rule and even Guy Morris back in the day is just completely different. Dave does not. But that's why I'm laughing thinking about that. What I'm reading now, what President Livingstone is saying, they're going to try to get Dave to change now in like year 7. It's like, okay. I thought she was pretty direct, and we'll talk about this coming up. Interview she did with the Waco Tribune. Zach Smith did that interview. I mean, I thought she should come on camera with us. I still think she will. I understand it's the local. And quite honestly, the other day, like Zach got to speak with Trig. Like the people who are out there every single day. I mean, I have always thought the local newspaper should get special treatment, should get like some, and I really, the selfish part of me is like, I'm friends with President Livingstone. I understand all the history of Baylor and everything they've been through and everything leading up to this moment. And so, I would be, I think, an appropriate person for her to visit with, and hopefully she will. But I think Zach did a nice job. And in fact, Scotty, I was afraid that would be, because I'm a subscriber to the Waco Trib, and I was afraid when I sent that to you, it would be sort of behind a paywall, and I might have a hard time because we don't want to get in trouble with the Trib or anything like that. But from what I can tell, Scotty, and I was looking at the transcript, but I sent you the video version of it, and I think it's out there. So as long as we attribute it properly, which we will do, and give Waco Trib and encourage people to read the Waco Trib, I think we can probably play some of it as we get into the day today. And of course, we'll at about 1:30, we'll do some Campus Confidential, and then we'll get out at we'll have a couple of breaks here in anticipation of what we're going to do in the 2 o'clock hour. But the 2 o'clock hour will be about our exclusive with Art Briles, who got this new head coaching job at Eastern New Mexico. Scotty, I just feel like it's a bit. I mean, I know people like it's Division II, and I even heard an interview. Phil Bennett was on with us recently. He was doing his like weekly or whatever he does with Smokey, and I heard Phil yesterday, and Phil kind of got mad thinking about that this was that Art should have a higher level job than this. To which I would say, okay, but this is pretty cool. This is a pretty good moment Art probably thought, I'll never be a college head coach again. Eastern Mexico comes in. It's a special situation where there was somebody that was at Houston and then was at Oklahoma State forever that had crossed paths with Art when he was a head coach at Houston. And he just happened to be in a position of power at Eastern New Mexico. And he's like, hey, Art, would you come run our program? And Art, who you'll hear about, but Art had a bit of a health scare recently. And Art's doing well, feeling great. I did not delve too far into that because I did not, it's like, I don't know. To me, it didn't feel like breaking news that I needed to press him on his medical history or whatever. But Art's kind of gone through something recently, but he's come out on the other side of it. Looks good. Sounds great. It's same old Art. Scotty, he giving me a really hard time about my hair. I should have gone with the cap because he went with the cap and he had a real cool new Eastern New Mexico cap on. And Scotty, not that you're going to run out, and I do think, and I don't think you'll do this, Scotty, but I think others will. Baylor people, there's still so many supporters of Art. I do think you'll see some Eastern New Mexico gear show up in Waco, somehow arrive in Waco. And the E on this hat he was wearing does look pretty cool. Now, for the people who are mad, Mosley is interviewing. He shouldn't be, he shouldn't be. He's this, and he's the face of what the horrible scandal that occurred. I get all that. And you know what? I'm not even, that doesn't make me mad, or I even understand where some of you are coming from. I sort of like, people view that whole situation how they want to view it. I've been all through it. I was on the air in Dallas when it happened, and it's not like I raced to Art's defense. I was like a lot of you. I'm like, this is awful. Like, this is, and when he got fired, it was just an ugly scene because like in the aftermath, the board of directors came out, or the board of regents, and like were really, saying very specific things of what was going on, and the whole thing got really, really messy. So if you're thinking I'm going to dive back into all that, the answer is no. But I thought the news value was, after almost 10 years of being one of the greatest, because, okay, scandal aside, was he one of the greatest coaches of this century? Absolutely. College football coaches. Absolutely. ESPN did a deal recently where they based on where people were and like the resources they had, like who had done the best job of this century, just straight up football. Okay. Not talking about all the scandal and all that, which, by the way, is very important to the story. I get all that. But they had Chris Peterson, who was at Washington, and they had Art Briles. And Peterson did do a great job at Washington. I think they might have gone to the playoff one of those years when he was there. They were very, very good. And then obviously the Washington program picked back up when DeBoer got there. It dipped after, and the Baylor program dipped after Art came back up under Rule. And that's another thing that we'll talk about at 2:00 with Briles. I asked him about Aranda. He didn't really want to get into much about the Baylor program because he's obviously spent most of his time monitoring what Kendall's doing at TCU, what Levy's doing at Mississippi State. That's where most of his attention. He's got grandkids in both places. That's really the team he's watching. I think he was probably bowled over by the reception he got when he came back to that event recently. There are about 700 or 800 people there. And I think Art had a realization of like, I think probably he had spent a lot of the last 10 years thinking about like probably the negatives and, how it was at the end and all of that. And there was a group that showed up that was just like, it was like a rock concert or something. Like they were ready to see him. And so there was a lot that happened in that. And again, I'm not one of these people who go, oh, they shouldn't have fired him. They shouldn't have. I mean, like, I get it. It was an awful situation, what was happening. And Baylor at the time, did they mishandle like how the investigation and how the whole thing went? Probably. But, and were there things in the media that were probably, did ESPN go so far in some areas? Sure. But I was like at ESPN for some of those years, or even leading up to that till about 2012. I was at ESPN.com. Not that I was like trying to defend it or really anything, but I was there. And I can just say that, the one thing I know for sure in revisiting, and I didn't get into this with Art today, but the Texas Monthly story on Sam Owachku, that's what lit the fire to everything. And so, I mean, I'm not saying there weren't bad things going on the campus, and it's been dealt with, and there's been all kinds of changes, and the NCAA came down, and then when there was more, and then there have been court cases and everything. But do I think this scandal really ever comes to light without Texas Monthly writing that story? I'm not saying it did anything wrong. I'm saying Baylor allowing Sam Owachku to come in from Boise State, where Peterson had been at the time, if I've got my timeline right. That's it. That's what lit a fire to everything. He never played it down for the Bears. Never played it down. But his time on campus, and people say, well, wait, was he found not guilty? Well, no, his case at one point was overturned. Then his sentence was reinstated, as I recall. I think he spent, all told, about 6 months in prison or in jail. So he did get convicted. But for things that happened, by the way, on the Baylor campus, or in the Baylor community, I should say. So, but yeah, it was one guy in that whole thing. So anyway, again, we don't really need to, because I realize everybody that has a Baylor degree, or even that doesn't, has an opinion on Art Briles and that whole situation. At 2:00 today, the 20 to 30 minute conversation I have with Art is more about, okay, what have you been doing? You're back in college football. Why'd you decide to do this? What does this mean? And so anyway, I think a lot of people will enjoy it, and I am fully prepared for a lot of people to be like, you should have raked him over the coals. Sorry, it was not going to be one of those interviews. I do at some point ask him what do you say to folks that are, obviously there are going to be a lot of people who say you don't deserve this chance. You still, even now, 10 years removed from the Baylor scandal, should not have a job as a head coach of college football. And remember, he had an offer from Southern Miss. He had an offer from Grambling. Those fell apart when the backlash hit those universities. And this time that did not happen, probably because of the level this is, and then the people, the president and the AD who was kind of driving this, having vetted him, having gone back, talked to a lot of people, and decided they were comfortable with giving Art Briles another chance. And so this hiring was solid, and barring anything unforeseen, he will end up in, Portales, New Mexico. Is that how you say it? Portales? New Mexico, coaching Eastern New Mexico, the Greyhounds of Eastern New Mexico. So this interview will air right here on the Matt Mosley Show at 2:00. And I'm appreciative because Scotty was producing the Pete Show while I was needing to tape with Art. So Z stepped in, Zach Burke, and we made it all work. And now Scotty's gotten it all ready for the 2:00 hour. Meanwhile, we're getting ready for Cowboys and Chiefs get it on tomorrow, and that's going to be fun. And I was just reading where Patrick Mahomes is just talking about what it's like, and he dreamed growing up in East Texas, always dreamed about playing on Thanksgiving and doing all that. And he's going to get to do it. And it's going to be against Dak Prescott and Post Malone, who sings a song with Dak Prescott in the lyrics. Scotty, I think that song is called, oh man, I had it in mind. Can't think of it now. But it says like, last call, Hail Mary, touchdown, Prescott. I think that's the line in the song. And so Post Malone will, who knows if he'll perform that or not, but he'll be performing live on Thanksgiving. Little John's going to get in there, and it'll be a nice Thanksgiving performance. And we'll be there. We'll be on the scene. The old Mosley show, representing Rogue Media Network, the show that never sleeps, will be there for Thanksgiving, bringing you all of that. And then Friday, I think, Scotty. Now, by the way, part of this family that we're in, Scotty, I did notice earlier today, some of them were taking today through Friday off, which is nice. But Rogue, baby, we're working hard on this Wednesday, and then I'll be out there representing us at the game Thursday. And then Friday, I think we are going to have a day off. Although, Scotty, I don't know, if something crazy happens against the Chiefs or whatever, I reserve the right to like somehow, what if I could figure out how to do like a YouTube live just on my phone from the house? I don't know. Scotty, without your assistance, really, I can't do anything. So I think if you're taking the day off tomorrow, that means I must take the day off tomorrow. And hopefully Scotty will get to be with family and maybe get to see his daughter and have some fun times there. And has that family right out there at China Spring, got local family, got some great siblings that'll hopefully be making their way back locally, and that'll be a lot of fun. So I know Scotty has big plans for tomorrow and Friday. Scotty, do you guys in the mornings on Thanksgiving, do you watch the Macy's Day Parade? Are there any good Swingler traditions on Thanksgiving? Do you try to do you take a break from the Detroit game to sit down and then try to have the dinner or have the lunch over in time for the Cowboys to start? What's the kind of the Swingler method for dealing with Thanksgiving?
I wouldn't say the Swinglers are traditionalists in terms of kind of same tune every year. Some years we're at my parents', some years we travel, so things change. I would say the consistency is the parade might be on, the Detroit game will be on, but they will not be, I would say, primary gatherings. They'll kind of be background noise as we talk and cook and hang out. And then it's a big lunch, barbecue style, by the way, smoked turkey and brisket, not any of this other stuff, man. It's barbecue style meat and home cooked Southern sides. And then we will the Cowboys game will be primary.
Good.
And that is typically the time when the family, you are either watching the Cowboys
or napping,
or you are napping while the Cowboys are on because of the food coma. So that is the tradition.
Oh, Scotty, I've got this thought. Could we put up the Schmaltz's trivia, since we won't be here tomorrow on Thanksgiving? Would that be possible? Or can I just throw out a trivia question?
You can throw out a trivia question. I just won't have it. I won't have it on screen.
Oh, there it is. Trivia Thursday. No, that's all I wanted. I wanted that, what you just put up. Schmaltz's Trivia Thursday. And a lot of times, Scotty, you'll have a fancy, like you'll get my face off of there, which a lot of our fans probably prefer. And then you'll have all the lettering and all this. But I've just decided to do this kind of on my own. And I'm going to give you lots of hints. I'm going to make this very easy. Now, the winner of this, and you respond by using our YouTube. If you subscribe to YouTube or put comments on there, this is where you subscribe. But back in the mid-'70s, the Dallas Cowboys, obviously in 74 and 75, they had the great Roger Staubach. But Roger Staubach got his bell rung. Roger Staubach got a concussion in a Thanksgiving Day game against the team formerly known as the Washington Redskins. I believe this was 1974. Somebody may say 75. I could go either way on this. I think maybe 74. And it led to one of the great lines, one of the great quotes in Cowboys history from Blaine Nye, the offensive lineman. But here's the deal. He was the offensive lineman. Roger gets hurt. A backup quarterback comes into that game, and he leads the Cowboys to a huge Thanksgiving Day victory. I want to say it was like maybe 35-24. I can't say that for sure, but the backup quarterback, I'll give you a couple of hints. I think he played at Abilene Christian. Not a lot of NFL players come out of Abilene Christian. And he had a great nickname. The nickname was the Mad Bomber. The Mad Bomber. What was that player's name who led the Cowboys to that fateful Thanksgiving Day victory over those dreaded Washington Redskins? If you get this, first person who gets this, 2 free sandwiches to Schmaltz's. Oh, when they open back up on Friday or whenever they decide to open back up Monday, I mean, it's just the locations, the downtown location over there, kind of Franklin, or is that 5th of Franklin? Right over there around Franklin is where I think about it being. It's kind of off Franklin, I guess. And then, of course, Valley Mills, 2 wonderful locations. And somebody's already put some. What was that, Scotty? I missed that. They said they will not answer. I will not answer and let someone else have. Oh, is that Bear the Truth? Okay. Oh, that's nice. Somebody's play. Yeah. I'm giving some great. Surely, Scotty, our Twitter audience, when we go. Oh, here we go. Let's see. I too know the answer, but should probably be disqualified. Why are y'all being so nice? Everybody's being so gracious.
Well, the second comment was my father, and he probably feels like there's a conflict of interest.
Oh, I think your dad, that would be a perfect time for him to win. Would be on Thanksgiving. See, we do have, because we know we've got that massive Twitter audience that comes in on whatever that is we use, our premium Twitter. You guys, if you know the answer. Okay, here's what I'll let you do. Since Scotty's dad's being so nice, I am going to get Scotty's dad. I want him to get a free Schmaltz sandwich. All right, so he gets one because he knows the answer in his sleep, because he's of a certain age that. Let's see. I was a baby. I was 1 year old or 1 or 2 years old when this happened. So Scotty, your dad would have been like 10 to 12 years old, somewhere in that range. And so he has a memory of a kid of the Mad Bomber showing up at halftime. And by the way, when I was with the morning news, I went to do a story on the Mad Bomber. He was living in Corpus Christi. But yeah, our Twitter audience, hit me up at Matt Mosley, and I'll take care of you. We'll get you a couple of free sandwiches. But I do think Scotty's dad, I love that he's out there. That's a nice photo of him. Is that your picture of your dad that popped up there on the screen there, Scotty? That's a distinguished looking gentleman.
It was, and what's funny about that was probably like a 15-year-old photo too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I was going to say, it looks pretty young, but he probably still does. Probably still pretty youthful. I would think probably has if he's like you, he's got a youthful exuberance.
Just because he's coming on the show here in a little bit, my dad had kind of embraced the Art Briles goatee look. It's kind of not the mullet, but the goatee kind of go.
Has he embraced the backwards cap like his son? Will Mr. Swingler put on the backwards cap? Oh man, Scotty will age out of that at some point. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen this month. I would say probably as you start to push 40, But I think even in the 40s, people that stay in great shape will occasionally like to turn that cap around backwards. And it happens. Like, I wonder if Stafford does that. Stafford's a 37-year-old quarterback who's still playing unbelievably well. And the Rams may be the best team in football right now. Do we think Stafford at age 37 turns the cap around backwards occasionally? Perhaps. I don't know. I do not have a visual evidence of this. So the question is, who is the Mad Bomber? Who came up? Let me look on Twitter here. Scotty, are we on Twitter today? Yeah, surely we are. Let me see here. All right. Ooh, people are reacting like crazy to something I said, but this is about President Livingstone. All right, we'll keep tabs on it. A reminder that our growing YouTube audience, just subscribe. It's free, and then you can interact with us. And then Scotty puts things on the screen, and that's nice. Okay, we will have at 2:00 today, Art Briles, an exclusive sit down, Mosley and Briles, for the first time in years. I think I talked to him briefly when I was at Texas Monthly, but it was not to this extent. And man, he just looks happy. He looks excited. And I'm sure there are people, again, that do not want to see him happy. And I get it. And I'm not mad at you. All right. I get it. There are people have all sorts of reactions and feelings toward Art Briles and Baylor, and people that are outside Baylor especially. I don't really. Now, I think some of the horrible things people say and the jokes and weirdness, no, that's out of line and dumb. But the people that still kind of have misgivings toward Art, I get it. And I don't really, that doesn't, I understand. I understand where people are coming from. We'll do that at 2:00. Let's take care of our partners real quick. And then, Scotty, let's do some Campus Confidential. Because, boy, President Linda Livingstone from Baylor, sat down from the Waco trib and had some interesting things to say about Mac Rhodes. We'll see what's on Scotty's mind. We'll do some campus. We'll do it next.
If you want the best for your body, you want Ascension Providence, the largest sports and orthopedics group in Central Texas. Using innovative and cutting-edge technology, we're able to understand your body better than ever, delivering treatment with precision. And with our fellowship-trained and board-certified doctors, you'll receive excellent care. Work with a team dedicated to your health, wellness, and safety.
So you can perform.
At your best.
Ascension Providence, caring for Texas families for over 120 years.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. And when it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. With the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. Don't click on links in emails and text messages. Scammers send emails and texts that look real, saying there's a problem with your account or your order. Don't click. Don't do it, ever. Instead, go directly to the company's website and log in there.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
Baylor Nation rolls along with Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Start with award-winning service and factory-trained techs. Then shop our new and used lineup. From cars, trucks, to SUVs, all makes and models. Running a business? We're your Central Texas headquarters for ProMaster vans, cabin chassis, and work trucks. For power and comfort, test drive the Ram 1500, the Motor Trend Truck of the Year winner again. Allen Samuels in Waco, proud partner of Baylor Athletics.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Everybody at EcoLife really has a passion and a real interest in helping people feel well. How much further can we go to get you feeling even better? It is a complete partnership between the two of us.
What if you could clean clean? With bio-based formulas and deep cleaning enzymes. No dyes, phthalates, or mystery ingredients. Just powerful pods for your dishes and laundry. Now you can, with drops made clean, made to clean.
It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
I am obsessed with helping business owners increase their traffic and turn it into profit through the power of Pinterest marketing. It's this amazing platform where people are looking for ideas, inspiration. They have a problem and they're actively looking for a solution.
It's hard to find supplements that work. No, thank you. Plant-based supplements made from the Earth's most powerful plants for your immune health, gut health, workouts, and more. Find out more at auraorganic.com.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
Yes, we're here for all your VPN needs. And, man, good to be with you. Good to celebrate all our good folks, Ascension Providence. I'm reminded that our presenting sponsor, Central National Bank, was the sponsor for that big luncheon that Art Briles was a part of. And so Brian Fonville and I were talking earlier today. They're excited to watch this interview coming up. We do have a winner in our Schmaltz's trivia contest. And by the way, Scotty, the answer is correct. You're missing an E in that, but that's okay. Oh, look, there's the graphics. This is how you win. I'm sure he appreciates me calling out his spelling of Longley. Daniel Whitehurst. Good job. Good win. Good win. Man, I love that hat. Love that cowboy hat, that open road looking hat that you have on Twitter there. Or I guess they came across there in our comments on YouTube. And Scotty, my phone has gone out, which is not it's a pretty typical thing that happens. Will you double check for me? I did not get my usual Twitter notification when I see us out there on Twitter. So double check me on that one. But anyway, we're going to do some Campus Confidential, and we're going to have today, we got a lot of folks coming in because Art Briles will join the program at 2:00 today. And that's how we'll leave it today. I was able to catch up with Art earlier today, and with the help of Scotty and the Z-Man, Zach, we pulled this off. And Art, for a reason that, are somewhat obvious over the years, has not done a lot of interviews. And, one thing he's learned is that when it comes to people trying to delve into what happened at Baylor, almost anything he says, some people hate, some people might like, some people disagree with. And so he doesn't really, he's on the record years ago from saying that, he's apologizing and talking about the bad things that happened and all of that. Was he contrite enough or whatever? Who knows? We can debate that till the end of time. The news that caused me to want to get Art Briles on was that he got hired as a college football coach at Eastern New Mexico. And you go, well, man, that's Eastern New Mexico. It's a big deal because, he was one of the greatest coaches in of all of college football in this century. And what he did from 2000, taking over the program in, 2008 or 9, all the way through 2015 season was remarkable. And yes, Scotty, I brought up where he thinks that 2015 team might have been heading if Seth hadn't have gotten hurt. if Jarrett then didn't get hurt. Now, Jarrett actually played pretty well in that game. They lost to Oklahoma. Oklahoma was great that year. I think they lost 38-28, and you could tell Stidham was going to be an incredible quarterback moving forward. They had running backs. They had an unbelievable offensive line. They had maybe their best defense that season. They could play some defense in 2015. They could get after the quarterback. That was a team. And unfortunately, Sess and then Stidham's injuries kind of undermined things. And they still found a way to basically run the Wildcat. When Lynx Hawthorne was playing quarterback at University of Texas, and Scotty Briles said he calls those snap catchers. He doesn't call them quarterbacks. When they put them back there in the Wildcat, he says those are snap catchers. And so he addresses that today. Anyway, it's going to, I think those of you who didn't get to hear Art recently when he was on the edge of campus over there at Texas Sports Hall of Fame, about 600-700 people showed up for that. And that was quite an audience. We'll enjoy hearing from Art and hearing about what led him, as he's almost 70. I think he's about a week from turning 70 years old, that he has decided to come back to college football. And we're appreciative of our opportunity to get to visit with him, because he was not really we were going to talk a few weeks ago when he came into town a month or two ago, and it didn't really work out for various reasons. And on this one, I just think he was so excited about being back in college football, he agreed to do it. And then he spent some of the time on camera with me, making fun of my hair and things like that. But anyway, we talked about several things. All right, Scotty, let's do, and CNB, look at that, Central National Bank, who brought you the Art, the thing they did over there at Texas Sports Hall of Fame. They were the head sponsor of that. They're, of course, our presenting sponsor, also the lead sponsor for Baylor women's basketball. All right, Scotty, let's do a little bit of Campus Confidential. And, I love it. I love it when it appears. Scotty, I always love it when you join us for this. Start this where you want. And I mean, because it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. And then if we do have the Waco Trib thing queued up here in a minute, I would like to play a little bit of that. And there's some things I want to react to about that. But where would you like to begin today? Because we've got Egg Bowl tomorrow. Then maybe we'll get a Lane Kiffin decision. We had UNT is going to have a new coach, but he's going to get them through this championship season that they're having. Where do you want to start today? Because always enjoy hearing kind of where you want to go, and then I like to kind of follow you wherever you want to go.
I mean, you have to start with the coaching carousel, right? And Lane Kiffin is far from my mind at the moment, because we've had 3 different reports today that are leading to a lot of these dominoes starting to fall. And, I think once these dominoes fall, more will follow. Now, these are 3 of the hottest Group of 5 candidates in America. These are 3 names that Baylor people were very interested in this time a week ago before we learned that Coach Aranda would return. Eric Morris, yes, officially announced yesterday, will be the next head coach at Oklahoma State. You probably assume that he brings quarterback Drew Messmaker with him to Stillwater. Great hire for the Cowboys. That one hurts, I think, for Baylor fans. I think he was at the top of most Baylor fans' list. But also breaking today, about 3 hours ago, a report that Arkansas has zeroed in on USF head coach Alex Golish. We'll have to see if that is not official, but that report has been floating out there for about 4 hours and been run by several outlets. And then the most recent rumor, which cracked about an hour ago, and I would say this is the least sourced, but it is gaining steam as you look across X or Google. Auburn is zeroing in on Tulane head coach John Sumrall. That's someone that most people figured they would talk to. Apparently they are zero. So this Eric Morris thing, Matt, might have triggered a couple of more of these Group of 5 coaches to get hired as soon as this evening, we could get some of those announcements. But Golish and Sumrall, perhaps next off the board to Arkansas and Auburn.
They're both good coaches. You can sometimes get those AAC coaches in and they'll hit a home run. A lot of times they don't. All right, this can go either way. It's really pick your poison on this. Golish, I mean, incredible job at South Florida. They didn't have facilities. They've fallen on hard times. He's brought a lot of pride back there. I like Sumrall. I like how honest he is. I love the fact recently when they were like in the group of 5 or the playoff talk or projection, they were number 20, whatever they were in the country. He was basically like, I don't know, there must be a lot of bad teams out there. We're just an average football team. I love that. Don't lie to us. Don't come on there stumping for your team if they got 2 or 3 losses or whatever they had. And I thought he was refreshingly honest. And I think Golish, yeah, that's interesting because both have done really good jobs. I will say the more impressive job is Golish at South Florida. Only reason I say that is because Fritz had already turned Tulane into something. Fritz had done some really good things there and then got the University of Houston job. So Sumrall arrived at a place that was already kind of buzzing a little bit. South Florida was not. Golish had to go there, build it back. That place was kind of on fire. It was kind of a dumpster fire, I should say. So give me, I think those are fine fits. I think the only person who's kind of mad in that deal, Scotty DeMeek, I love it when you do carousel. You're right. For one day, let's put old Lane over on the side. Let's talk about some of these things that are actually happening. Lane's going to coach the Egg Bowl. And by the way, I think we're seeing a classy move, Scotty, with these UNT folks, because it's like they're very appreciative. They're very kind about this. They'll go get them a good coach. They'll go try to get them a good coach. But instead of sort of being bitter, and Eric Morris is handling this really well. Because it's not like, we got portal and recruiting. I'm sorry, guys. I'll see y'all later. He's like, no. We're going to coach. We're going whatever they're involved in, the AAC, the possible playoffs, whatever UNT is involved with, he's going to see this thing through. And you go, well, why couldn't Kiffin do that? And I've heard people say that. Well, because Kiffin is going to be going to a place that is a rival of and that's not the case with somebody leaving UNT to go to Oklahoma State. That's a cleaner break. And so Eric can finish up while he kind of gets started. Now, the tricky part of this is he's serving one institution, and he wants to take some of these kids with him to Stillwater. So that gets a little murky, right? I mean, like, what's he going to be saying to his quarterback? Hey, I don't want you. I mean, surely he wants him to go to Stillwater with him. Now, that isn't always what happens. Still, he may not have the NIL money to get that kid. This messmaker, this guy at UNT is so good that what's to say Notre Dame or Duke, or you say, why'd you say Duke? Well, they have this habit of paying quarterbacks lately. Ole Miss, whoever. Ole Miss actually has a good young quarterback. But one of these schools could end up paying this kid $2 or $3 million a year to come play for them. Do I think they would pay that at Oklahoma State? Maybe. I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't completely rule it out. They also have a really good young quarterback in Hoss Haney, but he got hurt in the first game of this season. So we'll see if Messmaker goes to Oklahoma State. Look for that Hoss Haney kid to hit the portal again. We'll have all kinds of thoughts on that. Good stuff, Scotty. Ooh, I like that. All right. We'll probably need, Scotty, just so we do this on the fly, we need to go to break at like 55. Is that right? To kind of come in and get Art right around 2. Is
yeah,
that about right? Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Do you want to? Can we play a little bit of this? This is President. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. Let me get real quick because this is our last show before the weekend.
Please.
Your Texas A&M Aggies are 2.5-point favorites in Austin against Texas. What are your thoughts on that rivalry game happening in just a couple days?
My thoughts, Scotty, that it kind of make me laugh too, are like people are trying to say if A&M wins this, it'll finally put to bed the big brother, little brother thing. And I knew that would draw the Longhorns off sides. What does that cause the Longhorns to do? To put the century-long, however long they've been playing each other, over 100 years or whatever, Texas has a huge advantage. And then the Aggies come back and go, well, till the 1960s, to play here, you had to be in the Corps. You had to be in the Corps of Cadets to play. So it was harder to compete with those UT teams that did not have to be in the Corps or serve in the military. So I get it. It's caused a lot. Scotty, for my household, I really hope the Ags find a way to get this thing done. Because I have a daughter, and by the way, I got offered a ticket to Friday's game in a hotel room in Austin. But I thought, Scotty, that would break my daughter's heart for her Baylor dad to go attend that game with a buddy and her not get to go. So I, being the dad that I am, turned it down. I turned down my nice room in Austin and a chance to go see that game. Because you know what? At the end of the day, I'm a Baylor guy. I'll watch that. It's fun. But I care more, as sick as it sounds, I care more about, a bad Baylor team going up against the University of Houston in search of becoming bowl eligible. I do. I care more about that than I do Texas A&M. So there it is. Somebody's saying pulling for the Aggies in this one, big time. That's at Ryan Rogers says, love having these guys on here. Gig them all day if it makes Horns fans sick. Okay. Bear the Truth back with us. Threw up a little bit there, but better than Texas win. Okay. All right. And Scotty, and I want to hear your thought real quick. I have I'm going to get in trouble. There's part of me that thinks Texas, like A&M's due a loss, and then they could make the argument this might make them better for the playoff. This may reset things for them. But this Aggies team is special. This pass rush is unbelievable, and I think that 30-3 deficit at halftime woke them up. That was their kind of wake-up moment, get their attention back. I think they go in. I think they get it done. Give me the Aggies 27-20. 27-20. Ags win. Ags cover. Good teams cover. Good teams win. Great teams cover. So that's my thought. What's your thought on this game? I could see you kind of wanting to pick the Horns a little bit. I can see it in your eyes.
No, I'm gonna make all of our viewers mad who just commented and are rooting for the Aggies. Matt, I don't like Texas or Texas A&M. I'm a Baylor fan, so they can both be out of my life. That's fine. I have no love for either school. But here's how I have felt for a very, very long time about these two schools. They both have an inflated ego and sense of importance in the sport of college football. The difference is the University of Texas has national titles to back it up. Texas A&M does not. The University of Texas has recent playoff appearances to validate their greatness. If A&M makes the playoff this year, it'll be the biggest accomplishment they've had in football in 30 years. So I will be rooting for the Longhorns to beat and upset Texas A&M and make this playoff thing even more interesting. That being said, I think I agree with you. I think there's a significant deficit Dare I say in talent, perhaps for the first time, and definitely in kind of the way these two teams have played this season. I think you're about right. I think the Aggies cover. I do. I don't know if I want to throw a score prediction out there as boldly as you, but I think A&M wins this game, and is probably pretty comfortable midway through the fourth.
All right, and your man, they need because Le'Veon Moss, the really good running back for A&M, looks like he's going to be out for this game. Buddy, the linebacker, not Buddy the elf, but Buddy the linebacker for A&M, looks like he's going to be out. To your point, A&M has better skill players.
Yep.
They got a better quarterback. Sorry,
Yep.
Arch, but they got a better quarterback.
Yep.
They can put up points, and they got a better – while Texas has a good defense and a really good defense, and they stop the run very well. So I don't know if A&M will run that much on them.
Well, but listen.
But A&M's pass rush is great.
And you know this, if there's one Aggie I'm rooting for, it's someone I've known since he was a freshman in high school. Ruben Owens will run the ball for A&M. So Le'Veon Moss, great player, but I like number 4. I like.
And they got Emmitt Smith's kid. They got Ruben, and they got a kid named Morrow. So, Le'Veon Moss, a great player. He's probably the most talented or most NFL ready of the guys. But those other 3 guys are really good. And to your point, Ruben he's a load. All right. Hey, Scotty, can we play just for a second? I just want to tap into Zach Smith and President Livingstone, and I just got a couple things to say, and then we'll lead you into right here at the early part of the 2:00 hour, my interview with Art Briles, who has just been hired at Eastern New Mexico. He is back in college football. Let's listen into this for a minute, Scotty.
I'm Zach Smith. I'm the Baylor beat writer for the Waco Tribune-Herald, and today I've got a sit-down one-on-one interview with Baylor President Linda Livingstone. This comes on the heels of Baylor's athletics department being in flux. After 9 years as athletic director, Mack Rhoades stepped down from his position last week after taking a leave of absence for personal reasons a few weeks ago. The day after that was announced, President Livingstone released a letter that said head coach Dave Aranda would be returning next year as football coach while the school searches for a new athletic department. Now, one thing that I did not ask President Livingstone directly during our interview, but I just wanted to make clear and kind of affirm this. Dave Aranda will be the head coach in 2026. I did ask about timeline for an athletic director hire, and Dr. Livingstone was very clear that they are in the final stages of that. But whenever that person is hired, they will not come in and immediately make a change. Dave Aranda will be the head coach for Baylor in 2026. Once the Bears start playing football, that's when things can change. But there will be no immediate change when the athletic director is hired. I just wanted to make that very clear and clear.
All right, Scotty. All right, sorry. Because I want to get to Aranda. I want to get to Art Briles at 2, and I didn't realize we had this long run up. Zach did a great job in the interview. I've read the interview. You should look at it on Waco Trib. Listen to it. And he asked the right questions, a couple of things I'll say about the interview. He did he's like, you said you wouldn't accept mediocrity, but he's at 36 and 36. So what is your definition of mediocrity? And she went on to say she thinks it could get better and all this kind of stuff. But bottom line, it came out. She just said she was pretty upfront about the fact that the timing of everything and with Mac, she just did not, the timing was horrible, and she didn't think it was doable to keep the recruiting class together, to do everything you need to do, to get the AD in there, get the right coach. It was all going to be too jumbled. And so the Mac thing and not having an AD in place meant that Dave Aranda was back. Now, the part of this that's a little bit almost comical to me, and I get where she's coming from, they're trying to suggest that they know Dave Aranda, and you've heard him say, I could do better with the media. because Zach asked her, properly about what's the thing with the Baylor fan base. How do you try to like make this up with the fan base? And there's really no way, other than if they win a bunch of games next year, people are not going to be excited about Dave Aranda coming back. And so she said something about how Dave is going to try to get out and be closer and be bigger in the community, which is it's a little bit embarrassing because it's not really what he wants to do, and it's not going to be comfortable for him. And we've all been saying, yes, he needs to do more of this for years. And now in his like 7th year or whatever, they're like, okay. And then she says, he's a really wonderful person that we hope people will get to know. All right. She was honest in the sense that she made the best of some really bad options. And she thought this bringing him back was better than firing him and not having an AD and kind of having a chaotic situation and not having the NIL, not having to be able to keep the class together, losing this top 25 recruiting class. These are all valid reasons. The thought of getting Dave out on parade and getting him entrenched in the community. Come on now. Come on. We know. But again, I get why she's saying this. We've requested her. I mean, I've had her on many times in the past. Maybe they liked maybe they still think, who knows? I mean, I had her on the radio time and time again and have a great relationship with her. So we'll see. And hopefully we'll have President Livingstone on. I mean, her right-hand person, Jason Cook, is a great friend of mine, the chief marketing officer at Baylor. So we should be able to make this happen. We'll keep you posted on that front. Next, though, we will, what I've been advertising and promoting, the new coach at Eastern New Mexico, Art Briles, his first sit-down interview in a lot of years. With me and really with anybody. I think he spoke at the news conference the other day for Eastern New Mexico, but I think you'll enjoy this. We hit a lot of topics, about 30 minutes, Mosley and Briles interview. That is next.
If you want the best for your body, you want Ascension Providence, the largest sports and orthopedics group in Central Texas. Using innovative and cutting-edge technology, we're able to understand your body better than ever, delivering treatment with precision. And with our fellowship-trained and board-certified doctors, you'll receive excellent care. Work with a team dedicated to your health, wellness, and safety.
So you can perform
at your best.
Ascension Providence, caring for Texas families for over 120 years.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. When it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. But with the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. If you receive a call from someone claiming to be from a company, don't give them your personal information, ever. Unless you know them personally, hang up and call the company back on a verified number.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
Baylor Nation rolls along with Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Start with award-winning service and factory-trained techs. Then shop our new and used lineup from cars, trucks to SUVs, all makes and models. Running a business? We're your Central Texas headquarters for ProMaster vans, cabin chassis, and work trucks. For power and comfort, test drive the Ram 1500, the Motor Trend Truck of the Year winner again. Alan Samuels in Waco, proud partner of Baylor Athletics.
Come by, let's be friends.
It is the Matt Mosley Show, and great to have Coach Art Briles with us here at Rogue Media Network. And Coach, wonderful to see you. You've already given me a hard time about perhaps needing to go to the barber.
No, not at all. I'm just wondering we got the transplant. I'm jealous.
That's right. I'll give you my guy. But Coach Art Briles, the new head coach at Eastern New Mexico, and Coach, it's been nearly a decade. It's hard to remember. First of all, I have to say, you were holding out on us at Waco. You may have had a little something in the works, and you were kind of you had a big standing room audience only for that appearance you had at the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. And turns out everybody was like, "Would you coach again? Are you interested?" And you said, "Oh, I don't know. I this and that." And sure enough, you were a head coach in college again. So
kind of like a fourth down. You don't really ever let them know if you're going or not. Keep the personnel on the field. Don't let them switch on you and then do what you're going to do. But
it's
been a blessing. I was very fortunate just to lead into it, Matt, is, it's kind of, how these things happen. I mean, it happened in about a 3 or 4 week period, I guess, with just testing back and forth. And fortunately, it all worked out. The AD, there's a man that I was, with at the University of Houston. So I've been around him since 2003, and he's just a good guy. And it's, he's been at Oklahoma State for like 17 years as a compliance guy, assistant athletic director. And this is his first AD job. So it's just timing, and it's a blessing for me because, as I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't ride, I can't, skip rocks very good, but all I've ever done is coach. So I'm doing what I feel like I was, blessed to be able to do on earth.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you've had a couple of opportunities, and it didn't, come to fruition. And, I like you say, timing's everything. Maybe they're over the past decade. It's been time enough now where people are kind of like, well, if he wants to coach again, maybe he should. What do you think it was, though, about this alignment? Think in this day and age, everybody always talks about alignment, but like the president on down, because I'm sure you asked those, with Kevin, you had that great relationship with him. You're talking about the AD there. But you got to have everybody on board because, the inevitable, oh, my gosh, they shouldn't have done this. They shouldn't have had Art Briles. That's going to come. Why did it go through this time? Like, what do you feel like happened with the whole university? And because it does take the president and everybody being behind you for this to come to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, it's really pretty simple, and it's kind of like how they've been after is they did their homework. They've been around, they looked around. Kevin's, knows a lot of people that we work with there in Waco. And, so they did their homework. And, I've had a couple of jobs since then. I coached at Mount Vernon High School for 2 years, which, we had a lot of fun there. And it was a great experience. Of course, I was over in Italy for 3 years, big time there. And, so I've been, coaching on the back burner, on and off for the last decade. But, the simple answer to your question is, they did their homework. They're West Texas people, it's Eastern New Mexico. I mean, might be 10 miles from the Texas border. And, that's the area I grew up in. My wife and I are both from rural Texas, RULE, which is out there in, the middle of nowhere. And so it's just our people, you shake a hand, you look somebody in the eye and they tell you something, you can believe it. And that's what I really respect and appreciate because that's the type of people that I grew up with.
All right. What have you, when you started digging in and learning more about this program, what stands out to you? I mean, I would imagine at this level, there's the portal, there's all kinds of, the same things you deal with at all levels of college football. But what was it about this program? Like you said, the community and all of that appealed to you. This is a program that Art, I think they've gone, 2 straight 3-8 seasons. They're down a little bit. I mean, in 10 years, you've watched college football change immensely. NIL, portal, I guess the great thing about it is, Art, these kids are probably not getting rich there in Portales, are they? You're not probably dealing with like $1 million quarterbacks, are you?
Well, not yet, but I mean, it's that's really was very intriguing to me, because I like coaching a underdog type guy, somebody that wants to work and grind and try to feel like he belongs. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of those people there like that. That's the way I've always grown up in my coaching career, feeling like a little dog, trying to keep up with the others. And so that mentality's built in. The great thing about today's game is, like you mentioned, the portal. I mean, if you get the right people, you can instantly turn yourself into a contender. So my biggest job this spring is to get the right people on campus with the right coaches at the right positions, and then coach the heck out of them starting in the fall. So it's easy talk because everybody's doing the same thing, and I've just got to make sure that we make the right decisions on the people that can come in there and help us get this thing turned around.
Is this still going to be the Briles, tried and true offense that electrified folks back in the? Have we tweaked it over the years? What are you bringing? You gonna run some wishbone? What are you? Yeah,
yeah. If there's something in your mind, it's going to be done. The great thing about having some time is you get to anticipate and visualize and dream, and that's what I've done a lot of. So I've got a lot of great ideas that schematically I think will kind of help revolutionize what we're doing at Eastern and give us an opportunity to maybe play beyond our means, and that's what you got to do. If your personnel is not as adequate as everybody else's, which I hope ours is, I hadn't had a chance to evaluate the conference, then you got to do something to give your team an edge, and an opportunity to win. So that's something that we'll be looking at. And, that to me is what makes coaching fun, because it's all about, competition and trying to find a way to help your guys be in the right position to win the game.
Is the old gang, like, are you trying to get them all back together? I think Phil's had a little surgery recently. He's coming back from. What's that like? Putting together your first college staff in nearly a decade, and I bet there's a lot of interest, honestly. And I bet you have some former players who are knocking down your door. And I mean, can you imagine like Petty or somebody like, hey, you need an OC. I know I haven't done this, but.
You're kind of right on the mark. The great thing about coaches is that they're just coaches. They want to coach ball, they want to get out and get in the game and get on the field. And there's been a tremendous amount of interest, and I'm taking my time because I want to make sure that I get the right hires for Eastern and for our football team and to go from there. But I've really the only hire I've made is a guy that I actually coached at Mount Vernon a few years ago, and he's been coaching at another D1 school here the last couple of years. So he's my first, and I've got some others lined up ready to go. But we're not in any rush to do that. We got to get the right players.
Well, we could break some news. Can you name him, or do we have to wait for his season to end?
It hadn't been released yet, but he'll be an outstanding young coach. Already is, honestly.
Yeah, this is Art Briles on with us. This is a lot of fun to think about, watching your team and all. I got to say, you saw that crowd in Waco recently, and I could tell by your reaction that day. I mean, I'm sure you realize you still had a lot of great friends in Waco, but that was a pretty overwhelming crowd. And now, of course, they're going to try to get you every year because I think you raised a lot of money for them.
I thought it was about me being there. I didn't know it was about the money, but it usually is. No, that was extremely heartwarming, man. Yeah. I know you were there, and it was just a heck of a deal, boy. A lot of really good people, good friends, and good memories, and it was very touching for Jan and myself. So it was good to see a bunch of the old players there, and then like I said, a lot of people in Waco that I haven't seen in a long time. So it really made us feel blessed and did our hearts a lot of good.
All right. And I have to ask you, Baylor just made an extremely unpopular decision to bring back Dave Aranda, a guy that was on your staff at one time, and y'all have crossed paths over the years. And, you've seen it over the years. That's always a little uncomfortable and there's some stuff going on that kind of led to that. What have you have to help you got a son-in-law, you got Kendall coaching your son at TCU, you got a son-in-law at Mississippi State. So you probably are watching a lot of those games, maybe not watching as much Baylor as people would think. But, when you see a situation like that, have you remained in touch with Dave at all over the years? Because I know he kind of looks up to you and thinks a lot of you. What have you kind of thought of the Baylor program over these last few years?
And you hit it, Matt, honestly. Really the only two universities that I watch, week in and week out is TCU and Mississippi State. And, you kind of follow blood, and that's where our blood is. So that's enough, because it's horrible being a fan that cares. I can tell you that. So I empathize with all those people, that have lived day in and day out with it through the years. But, to answer your deal about Dave, Dave and I were on the same staff together at Texas Tech back in 2000. Started 2000. When I got the Houston job, I actually hired him. And he was our linebackers coach there for 2 or 3 years, I think 3 years. And then he's from California. Then he went back out to San Jose or Cal Poly, somewhere out there. And, then moved up through the ranks, did a great job. Dave was always a very intelligent defensive guy, really understood stuff, kind of a nonsense type of person, had a real straight personality that allowed him to focus and to take care of business. And, it doesn't surprise me that Baylor's bringing him back. I mean, 3 years ago, he's, I think, conference champs, and so those things they're hard to come by. I mean, you can look through all the universities in the nation, and if you can find someone that's won a conference championship, that's a feather that should stay there for a while. So I'm, like I said, I'm not at liberty to really, give an opinion other than the fact that, as a person, I think Dave's a really, really good man. And to answer your question about being in contact with him, the only time I really have been was when he first got there, and he texted me and we talked for a little bit about, living in Waco, being at Baylor, but that's he's been there 5 or 6 years now, so that's been a day or two.
Yeah, and it's interesting to hear you say Mike Leach brings back so many memories. It's funny to imagine you and Mike like on the whiteboard together back in the day, and you have much different personalities. I'm sure there's some similarities, but that's just because you had your own offense, and he had his own air raid.
That's right.
Yet you all had to sort of somehow mesh, and I'm sure you learned some things from him. You probably learned some things not to do. I don't remember any fat little girlfriend things leaking out of your locker room, but I heard that Mike at one point was wanting to bring you into Mississippi State before he passed away, and that would have been really something. I don't even know what capacity that would have been in. Is that accurate? Was there a point where he was thinking about trying to bring you in there?
Yeah, Mike was a very interesting person. God rest his soul. You mentioned our similarities. Our main similarity is that we both love football. That's it. I mean, of course, he had his way. I got my way. Everybody's got their own way. But the thing that meshed us is that we both love ball. And Mike always, was trying to get better, trying to find ways to do better. And really, when he was here at State, he did call me. He'd call and he'd talk about, fall practice and spring ball and how to keep guys fresh. And, he's always looking for ways to to keep his team on the cutting edge and make them better, because we've always felt like we were, kind of that way as a program, making sure our guys were ready to go on Saturday by how we took care of them during the week. And he was, he really was. He was actually the year that, that I guess that's been 3 years ago now, maybe. There was some discussion, but he had, I tell you what, him and those guys that helped him hire their tech in 2000, they put together a great staff. There were some people on there that we all got in there at the same time. And, I could drop a few names, starting with Sonny Dykes and Dana Holgerson, Robert Anai, Greg McMacus, Ruffin McNeil, Brian Norwood, I don't know who else, but I'm sure I'm leaving some people out, but we're all sitting in the same room every day. And, 6 or 8 of those guys, went out and were head coaches. So it was a really a good time at Texas Tech and a really great staff to be on.
So Mike didn't just go off on tangents. He could get down to business in some of those meetings. I bet that was.
Yeah. I mean, he's a football coach. That's it.
Yeah.
So that was a great thing. So I, always respected his knowledge and love of the game. He was a straight, air raid guy, Hal Mummy, those guys. I mean, they live with it now, and he stuck to his roots.
Yeah,
and running the ball. I'll tell you that.
No, and that's what made your teams at Baylor, honestly, what probably made the passing game so devastating is the commitment to running the ball, and Shock and, Lake and all those guys. I can't help but ask you a couple of Baylor questions. And you did a nice job at that event, but 2015, that team, Art, did that have a possibility? Because you had back-to-back conference championships.
Yeah.
Was in some ways that team could have given you your best shot at a national title, because the other teams were in the running, obviously. 2014, you probably should have been in the playoff. I think you would argue you should have been.
Well, I think we had a good argument, but
yeah, I do. Yeah, I still have memories of
fifth. We just didn't know it was going to be us.
I ran into Bob on the way down there to see y'all, and Bob should have just turned around and driven back. Old Bowlesby, I ran into him at the Slotsky's in Hillsboro, and I said, "Bob, you gonna call a champion tonight?" Anyway, I don't know if he found it that's funny, but
story. We don't get into that.
But was that 2015 team with Seth? Before he got hurt, and the athleticism he had, the depth of that team, unbelievable running backs.
Really the O-line and the defense, and that was. We really thought we could. That was the year that we could turn it on and run the tables. I mean, there were phases and there were, you hate to say it, but almost unbeatable. When we were on and we're clicking and having Seth Mingham do what he could do, and then have the ability to run the ball, throw the ball with, like I mentioned, that great O-line. Actually in the North Carolina game, we played 10 guys up front. That's how deep we were up front in the O-line. And we were a dominating team that knew how to win, because we're coming off 2 11-win seasons and, like you mentioned, 2 Big 12 championships. So, it's contagious, once you start doing that and the guys believe, then you really become a team that's got a chance to take it all the way. So to answer your question, we felt like, that was a good chance to turn it. And we had, really had some good recruits coming, in that next class. But, unfortunately Seth got hurt, and then Jared Stidham was a true freshman. He went down to K-State right after Seth got hurt. It's a hard place to win on night game, and he did that as a true freshman. Then he gets hurt, at Oklahoma State. Chris Johnson comes in, does a great job, plays a game or two, and kind of caught up with us a little bit, really against TCU. And then, he gets hurt against Texas, and that's when we went to the, just the Wildcat deal completely.
Mm-hmm.
We call them snap catchers, not quarterbacks.
And if you'd have started the game like that against Texas, I think y'all, because y'all absolutely in the second half were threatening to come back and win that game.
Oh, yeah, that's when we put it on at halftime.
Yeah.
so that, you know, but you know, it took us a little while to get it going, and we made some adjustments from there to the bowl game that really helped us, you know, solidify how to run that offense.
Yeah, I think Lynx now goes around telling everybody he was a college quarterback. I mean, that's the thing you got to watch.
He's not. If he wants to debate that anytime, I'm ready. But he is a great kid that did a great job, and you know, I'm a Lynx lover. You know, he went to with us and coached, and he's awesome. He actually played over there too.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You just had so many fun personalities, great players on that team. By the way, you look great, and I mean, the math is correct. You may be pushing 70, but you look kind of like you could. Oh no, Art, it's sneaking up. I don't think we can put
70s and not 50.
That's right. Okay,
that's what 70-year-olds say.
That's what they say. But you look. Yeah. How has your health been? I think I had heard maybe there'd been a little bit of a health scare, I don't know, a couple of years ago or whatever. Again, you look great. How's that journey been for you?
You know, I guess as you get older and you know, fortunate to live this length, you know, you have things come up, and I have had an issue or two, but you know, knock on wood and Lord watching and willing, you know, everything's great. I honestly feel as good as I've ever felt. You know, I don't know what it is. You know, I mean, I guess you feel bad if you want to feel bad, but I feel good. You know, I feel great. I can do everything I want to do. And, you know, I've just been really blessed. You know, the Lord's blessed me. And that's why I'm so excited about this journey at Eastern, you know, because I really think that, you know, I can fulfill a lot of things for a lot of those young student athletes, you know, in the university. And that's my driving goal, is to help them, you know, get to where they want to get as a university and as a football program. And it's kind of what I've done all my life, you know, when I've gone into places. So this kind of gives me kind of a curtain call to go do it. And, you know, we'll see where it all is in 2 or 3 years. But right now, I'm just extremely thankful and grateful and eager.
Well, I anticipate seeing some Eastern New Mexico jerseys make their way to Central Texas. You probably have already had people reaching out to you, and so I don't think they can put it in the bookstore.
Are a hot commodity. I can get you one for about $4.50.
Can you do Venmo, or can I? Yeah, however you do it. Yeah. Hey, the last thing I had for you, you know. And interestingly, because it's been almost a decade, I have not seen as much backlash. But you know, there are people that go, he should not coach in college again, and you know, based on what happened over a decade ago or close to a decade at Baylor. What is your answer when people kind of, you know, have that thought that, hey, he really should not be doing this?
I don't have an answer really. I mean, because if I gave an answer, it'd be the wrong one. If I gave an answer, it'd be the right one, you know. So my deal is, it's kind of like Eastern. They did their homework. You know, they feel comfortable. They feel that it's the right thing to do at the right time. So that's where I'm at. So I'm just, you know, I'm grateful and thankful and ready to start a new chapter in my life.
What's the best text? I mean, other than from me, what would you say is sort of the best text or message you've received, or were there a couple that really, you know, were pretty neat to hear from folks maybe you hadn't heard from in a long time, or I'm sure you've heard from a ton of your players. What's that reception been like?
Well, I mean, first of all, seriously, I had to turn my phone off because it's just too crazy, you know. And you got people like you mentioned, when you live to be almost 70, you know, you've been around a lot of people for a long time, and I'm one of those guys that never changes my cell number. So it's the same. But no, the text messages in the sport have been just completely overwhelming, and I understand, you know, that I've got to go in there and, you know, like I said, fulfill my duties at Eastern, do a good job and put a good product on the field and do it the right way, and make the community and the university proud. So that's where all my focus and goal is, Matt, and I'm thankful to be able to do it.
All right. And what's the home situation there in Portales? Have you guys already been shopping the market? Is that a pretty decent market there?
Well, it's there's places to live. So we were just in there for a night, last week, and then I went back in there Monday, or I guess got in there Sunday night, Monday night. But it's I'm just, for me, I mean, if they pulled a van up next to the field house and said, here, that you can stay here for the next 3 years, I'd be fine with it. But Jan's a little bit different than I am in that situation. So I just kind of let her handle that. I'm pretty easy to please on what to stay.
Yeah, don't give Kevin any ideas.
He already
he might take you up on that.
Give me a sleeping bag and a place in the locker room, and I'm gonna be up there all the time anyway. So it's all good.
Well, hey, I think a lot of people in Waco and elsewhere, and of course, you can imagine what people were saying to me at that thing, at that event where you were speaking, you and Bryce, and they would say, "You think Art can come back here?" And I kind of would smile, and I'd look back up at them, Art. They were serious as they could be. I'm like, "Oh, wait, you're being serious."
That's above our decision. But honestly, I'm very grateful for the love and support.
Yes.
From Baylor University. I mean, a lot of love, a lot of support, and a lot of good friends and memories. So we're very thankful for the time we had.
Yeah, and that was quite an ovation, and I think they were excited. Hey, listen, have a happy Thanksgiving. Boy, Jancy, your daughter's there, who's a great friend of mine from years past when she was with the Dallas Cowboys. What is your favorite side? What's your favorite item there on the Thanksgiving table? I don't want to get you in trouble because I'm sure your daughters and bringing in different items, and boy, some stuff's happening Egg Bowl related. So you got some of the family that probably can't make it to where you are. Yeah. But what's the Art Briles' favorite Thanksgiving?
I'm pretty bland. I'm a pumpkin pie guy, just once a year. So it's always a treat. So I'll be getting into that Thursday, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, man, that is interesting. That Eastern New Mexico, the E on that hat, that's nice. That's a nice. Is that their color? What are their colors?
$4.50. Like green and gray. So they're the Greyhounds. So,
okay.
I'm trying to find some guys that are fast like those Greyhound dogs.
Have you ever been to the dog races?
I actually have. They used to have some in Houston. I went a couple of times, and they're over so fast. If you're not paying attention, you miss it. So that's kind of what you like about a good offense. You don't want to get up and go to the concession stand. You might miss a touchdown.
Yeah, that sounds like Chris Platt and some of those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Tevin Reeves.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, we had some guys that stretch the field.
I would say so. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, great to catch up. I've done
it. Appreciate it. You look great.
Hey, I appreciate it. You look good.
Your hair guy.
Stop it. The hair is. And people try to say, they're like, "Do you dye it?" And I'm like, no.
Of course,
not a million years. No, I wouldn't know how to put that stuff in.
Somebody put his Bible in front of me. No, it's been awesome. I appreciate you.
There he goes. Thank you, Art Briles, on the Matt Mosley Show, joining us today. What a way to end the show today on a special holiday edition. Art Briles hired at Eastern New Mexico. A lot of folks excited for him, and it's been interesting to see all the feedback. I think a lot of folks are happy to see him get this opportunity. And watch out is all I can say. Whoever's in that conference, I think it's the Lone Star Conference, because there is speed, and it's headed to Portales, and there's no way he's going to go in there with it not locked and loaded, ready to go. And so he's bringing in people as we speak. Been a great day and wonderful. I appreciate the Z-Man at Rogue for jumping in and helping us capture this moment. And thank you for Scotty. Thank you for the entire. And I want to wish everybody that's been listening to us. We have a huge Twitter audience, more and more people signing up for the YouTube. We appreciate you. We want you to have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'll be out covering the Cowboys, and then I think take Friday off and be back Monday to react to Baylor's final game of the season, maybe final. I don't know. If they beat Houston, they'll be in a bowl game. So we'll react to all of that on Monday. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.